This for today is examination and functional evaluation and assessment in special children, basic prerequisites and why. Okay. Now, what is CVI? CVI is cerebral visual impairment, is a deficiency of vision due to damage or malfunction of the visual pathways and the centers in the brain, specifically that next posterior to the lateral geniculate body, which is accentuated by disorders of the control of eye movements. Now, CVI covers a range of visual difficulties ranging from a low functioning CVI where there is profound visual impairment to a high functioning CVI where there are vision related or processing problems and cognitive visual malformations where there is normal to near normal visual acuity, but the problem is using that vision. Many a times these difficulties are associated with difficulties in processing information. Now, you have to differentiate CVI from OVI, that is ocular visual insufficiency, where you find in an OVI the eye examination in a CVI would be normal, but it would be abnormal probably in an OVI at times. Correlation of ocular findings with visual functioning, where you find that the ocular findings do not explain the visual difficulties, whereas in an OVI it does. Response to correction of treatable ocular disorders usually correlates in an OVI, but it's suboptimal in a CVI. The visual behaviors are variable because it is dependent on a lot of conditions like fatigue, discomfort, environment, clutter, background noise in a CVI, but it is consistent in an OVI. If there is any history of trauma, perinatal period, or neurological insult, is always present in a CVI but may not be there in an OVI. The latency for visual response is usually prolonged. It is normal in an OVI. Vision attention span is usually short. It's normal in the other condition. Difficulty with crowded visual information is usually present, whereas it's uncommon in the OVI. Light gazing behavior and color perception is generally common in a low functioning CVI, whereas it is uncommon in the OVI. And associated sensory cognitive behavioral difficulties are usually present with CVI but not so in OVI. So these are the basic differences between a CVI child and an OVI child behavior. Now, we need to remember that CVI does not imply total blindness. It is a spectrum of vision loss ranging from mild visual impairment to complete visual deprivation. The fundamental belief is that every child can learn, and from this is right from normal to severely mentally challenged children. So, don't give up on these children ever. Now, the thing is that it is important because there is a whole lot of conditions like the cerebral palsy, autism spectrum disorder, ADD, ADHD, Down syndrome, learning disabilities, dyslexia, etc., which is common with this kind of a condition, and 71% of CP children have CVI. Now, why do we have to really look after this condition? Why the visual attention? Because there is an increased prevalence of visual impairment. There are variations in visual performance, and there's an inability to communicate because of intellectual or behavioral issues. Now, what are the comorbid conditions which are associated? Are those of ROP, Downs, genetic syndromes, and metabolic problems. And OVI alone is in the other group where there is congenital cataract, optic atrophy, congenital nystagmus, congenital globe anomalies, and high refractive errors. Now, in a CVI, it is a multi-pronged approach. You have to work as a team because it is not a holistic approach, it is a holistic approach where you involve not only the pediatrician, the pediatric neurologist, the ophthalmologist, the ENT specialist, the psychologist, the vision therapist, and the other neurodevelopmental therapies in forms of the PT, OT, and the speech therapy and the vision therapy. Now, here for the vision, we require the ophthalmologists, the optometrists, the therapists, and the schools, which are very important for giving them the rehabilitative measures. And as we know that there is a dorsal stream and there is a ventral stream, and in the dorsal stream dysfunction, this is noted in children with spastic diplegia. They have different problems of climbing stairs. They are enabled to reach, they knock over objects. They have simultaneous perception, and they cannot locate things in a crowded visual field. But about 50% of them have ventral stream impairments, which is seen in children with severe CVI, where they have difficulties in recognizing shapes, objects, faces. They keep forgetting where objects are placed, and they find very difficult to find their way back if they are in an unfamiliar place. So there are a battery of tests for cognitive vision assessment. That is tests for dorsal, where it involves the optic ataxia test, where you ask them to throw a ring into a rod or throw balls into a hole or a box. The simultagnosia test, where you identify one object between 20 objects, identify one toy from a toy basket, identify one alphabet in 20 alphabets, and apraxia of gaze, which gives the motility assessment. And the test for the ventral stream is that test for prosopagnosia, which is finding one flashcard amongst five cartoon characters or names of five relatives shown on a mobile phone, or where there is loss of visual memory, where you differentiate a smile from a frown or sad from happy faces. You identify shapes of two different cars with the same color, or two different cars in two different colors, color to color match. And the topographic agnosia test, where you find your way through a maze or find a shoe in a clinic with a lot of shoes around. So these are few tests which are done. And there are tests for optical visual assessment, where you copy nonsense text, dictation of nonsense words, reading a paragraph, tests for visual preservation, and rapid change of objects to know if anything persists. This is remediation in cases of CVI. Why there is need for early intervention in these children is because it has been shown to enhance visual function significantly. Sight is a key stimulus to a child's development. Sight is a development process in these children which does not happen automatically. We have five primary senses in ourselves, in a human being, and these have to be tapped, or these have to be in perfect synchrony and amount for a child to grow globally sound and robust. Seeing is a complex psychological process which affects the child's motor, cognitive, emotional, and communication functions. Now, what is the principle of visual rehab? It is important that there are some pathways which are disturbed and there are some pathways which are untapped. There are some such 30 specialized centers in the brain which can handle specific parts of visual information. So you have to sort of motivate those areas to take up the and reassign the signs of damaged area to those healthy areas, and that can be done if you are taught to do so. And this is what we call as neural plasticity, and this of course requires a multidisciplinary approach. This gives you an interrelatedness of vision with posture and sensory processing. So that's the reason why a child and all the balances of the child, whether the child stands, walks, runs, or is able to locomote, is very important. Now, what is visual functional assessment? It is an ability to make use of whatever sight they have. In this children with CVI, you have children with profound multiple learning disabilities. You have to train their residual vision to the maximum, and again, this, as I said, improves with a multidisciplinary approach. So if you see, there are standardized tests for visual acuity which has failed in children with learning disabilities because they are scared of personnel, of uniforms, equipments. They are unable to fixate. Sometimes their body posture is very wrong, inability to understand commands. So that is the reason why these are all the pitfalls which are there, and you have to be able to improve them in recognition of objects, pictures, shapes, colors, perception. They have a problem in figure ground discrimination, where they cannot identify between two backgrounds. They have a problem with depth perception, visual inattention, and the capacity to learn look and listen, or look and do. So you have to improve on all these spheres for these children, for a child to be able to have a certain quality of life. So, what problems you encounter is a crying child, the first thing, abnormal eye movements, abnormal head posture, ocular anomalies, excess anxiety crying, lack of comprehension, and certain twitching body movements or athetoid body movements in certain children. So if you see this child had neck rigidity, this child had a spine problem, was had to be supported when he sits, when he lied down, there was neck rigidity and there was rigidity in the entire body. So you never get this head down, and you never get a a perfect child lying supine for any of the functions that you are going to do. So these are the few things that you have to sort of address. And this is uh, so there are assessment tools which are there, and the environment has to be generally a familiar environment, because they don't work well with an unfamiliar environment. Tools are like small boxes for hand-eye coordination and reflecting toys. Now this FVA kit consists of 14 tools, but there are 24 items in these, where you have where you can improve a contrast, a spotting, improve peripheral vision, improve hand-eye coordination. You get the concept of size, colors, and shapes, and it helps scanning and coordination. And in these you have things like smileys, you have shapes, shape board, you have size board, you have a color board, you have match the color sheets, you have number cutouts, you have alphabet cutouts, you have four balls in different contrasts, and black and white cloth, a rope, a functional vision assessment record sheets are there, in which you kind of signify how many the child was able to sort of do well and not do well. Now, the function of these special children, the visual function, is you cannot do it by normal standards. So, these children, the behavior of these children is done by what we call as ethological observation. Now, this ethological observation involves looking at the child's vision or gaze avoiding, if there is a change of posture, there's smiling, the blinking of eyes, facial expressions, and stereotypic behavior. You have to make a note of all these things. And there are certain visual behaviors which tell you that if the child avoids looking, chaotic eye movements, faking, overlooking, head shaking, squeezing the eyes because of photophobia, all these things tell you that there is a great degree of visual dysfunction. So, to answer the query, how much can my child see? This is a very concerned question by the parents. You can do this test by a combination of what you call a PLT and a fixation, that is a preferential looking technique, and the visual function battery, which comprises of PL with orientation, follow a Maddox rod, OKN, grab toys and objects, grab red objects, and an obstacle course. And a point of point 3 in these will show you a child who is capable of independent ambulation. Since I'm out of town, I'm just going to run through the next slides. Nystagmus and OKN also gives you a measure. This is the number of tools which are there. This and you use movement, high contrast technology, multiple consistent approaches. And what is the this that children with CVI like bright colors, they are light gazers, they third of them are photophobic, they have what is called as a crowding phenomenon, as a result of which they look at an object when they grab it, but when they are moving away they look away from it. And there is always a visual field preference, and they have a preference to look at familiar objects. So you do a retinoscopy for these children to get their numbers, and you can use any of these toys, illuminated objects, or animal sounds, and you mummify the child when before checking it out. And what you have to do, you have to do the refractions for these people, give them the proper numbers, and then you have to give them all their rehabilitations. So if you see this child who's walking after some time, you see the child is not looking up, not attentive, but the difference when you make the child wear the glasses. This is another autistic child who was till 12 years not given glasses. She was like this. And then see the difference in her once the glasses are given. She looks at an object and tries to hold it. This is another child who had both visual and auditory issues. He was very he used to look at bizarre odd movements. He was autistic, and once he was given glasses, he became receptive. He came towards me, he bowed out, and he went, and he was smiling all the time. So these are all the situations. This is another child where the child was babbling. This was actually a shaken baby, and this is how the child presented. But this child is now capable of independent ambulation. Another CP child who has done well. This is a learning disability child, and all these children do well. Stem cells have come in a big way because we find that along with the stem cells, when you give them the glasses, they are much more better rehabilitated than otherwise. And midbrain stimulations also work in children who have low vision to very good vision, because you can help the stimulate the memory. And these people, without just, it is not braille, they touch the object, they know the color, they know what is written. This is because of the pineal stimulation. Visual rehab which is done. And finally, the tenets are that when these children come to you, see that they are rehabilitated, always do their refraction at 6 months, and in DVM because of CVI, refer early, because this is a lifeline to visual maturation and development. Thank you so much, and thank you for the extra time.